Hi, I'm Jess.
And I'm Liz.
And this is Aish, That's Dark.
Let's get into it.
So, Liz, how was your week?
Hi, everyone. So I currently sound like a 60-year-old chain smoker.
You do.
And I don't know why. I don't know if I'm still, well, I'm probably still
You are
sick.
still sick.
I still do
can
not
tell
feel
you're
well.
sick.
Like yesterday at work was absolute hell. But yeah, my voice now for the indefinite future sounds like this.
I mean, I think it's kind of hot.
Thank you.
It's
You know,
an lower register voice.
I feel like this is where my voice is supposed to be. This is who I was my whole life, and the face never matched the voice. And now it does.
Our listeners don't even know what we look like. We should probably change that at some point.
No, some of them have stalked us before. You know, there's random notifications like, oh, someone checked your profile. You know, stalk me or tagged. I tagged like Aish That's Dark in my bio, so they've seen us before.
I haven't done that. I should probably do that.
You should do that. If not, we'll do like a Meet the Founders episode, and we'll do a cute and quirky one, and we'll do a little photo shoot.
Founders.
Yeah, but yeah, so I am still sick. How are you, Jess? You are much better.
I am much better. I'm not 100% because I've still got lovely post-nasal drips and coughing a bit, but you know, otherwise I feel fine. It's just, you know, how the stuffiness still remains.
It stays a little bit. Much like many of our ghost stories, it stays with you.
Yes, kind
A
of
little while after.
kind of like this one.
Oh, goodness me.
I forgot so segue.
We are probably, so we are returning to Daisy de Melker.
Yes.
So this is part 2, right? So can you please just like give us a quick recap? Because I literally forgot everything.
Yes. You need to, well, first of all,
Yes.
we'll give you a recap, but go back to part 1 if you have not listened to
That is true. If you have not listened to it, like the rest of us, go listen to it. What are you doing?
part 2 if you haven't listened to part 1. But don't worry, I'll give you a
reback.
I'll give you a recap for all of those who have listened to it and might have forgotten stuff because it was like 2 weeks ago.
It was 3 weeks ago. Yeah, we did the little break.
2 weeks ago, yeah.
2 weeks ago. We did the little break in between the stories so that your voice could rest.
Which I've heard is some people are like, very interesting episode. And I'm like, right? So thank you for those who liked it. And thank you for the feedback. I just went out of my notes. And I'm back. It's fine. No, out again. Yeah, I came back.
So early, it's going off the rails so quickly.
Yes, of course.
Right. So the recap.
You're feeling unhinged. Anyway, okay. So for anyone who needs the shorthand before we dive in, Daisy de Melker was a Johannesburg nurse who married 3 times between 1909 and 1931. 2 of her husbands, William Cowell and Robert Sproat, died years apart from strychnine poisoning that got waved off as natural causes both times, which was very sus. I still don't understand how they did that.
So
I'm like, we went through all the symptoms of strychnine poisoning, and I'm like, it's very distinct. How did
the police just overlook that?
Twice.
They're like, oh, it's a woman. She can't do anything. Anyway, please.
Her son Rhodes died of arsenic poison in 1932, and that's the death that finally caught up with her. She was tried, convicted only of Rhodes' murder, and hanged at Pretoria Central Prison on the 30th of December 1932.
I forgot she was hanged. She got the death sentence.
Yeah, she did. She was the second woman.
Yeah, we did like a little weird thing about that.
She got the death penalty. And yeah, unfortunately, she did only get convicted of her son's murder because a lot of others was like circumstantial and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, it's the 19...
They had to exhume the body. Yeah, let's just say like the science was not there.
Yeah, so... But also, you know, a lot of time passed, so a lot of evidence would have been gone and...
Exactly.
Yeah.
What specifically? Because you would think that's the end of it.
Yeah. So you would think that, wouldn't you?
What are we going to discuss today? Because according to me, that's an open and shut case, and that's where it ends.
Yeah.
But
it's not. So what we're getting into today is everything that happened after that. Because Daisy didn't really leave Johannesburg when she died. According to an awful lot of people, she never left at all.
Oh,
Yeah, we're talking about the folklore, paranormal, ghosty aspect of what happened after she left but didn't leave.
But speaking of paranormal, ghosty, creepy stuff, I sent you the audio. So the audio we used in the post is that Daisy song that's really creepy and slowed and reverbed, because that has become part of modern pop culture now. It's
Yeah,
creepy
they redid it.
And then, but when we do the research, I'm like, girl, you would not believe. And you listen to the old one that's still like on the stenogram or something.
Yeah, like the record player
really,
with the crackly sound.
Like where it's a barrel with the sound like actually encoded on it. And I was like, I never knew that. And it was so creepy and so interesting. And I think to this day, that's like my favorite part of the story, that they changed it. Instead of like, give me your answer to, it's like, give me some arsenic do. Damn, even back then, people were savage.
Yeah, no, I feel like they were more savage. People were,
Oh, yeah.
yeah.
But you didn't hear about it. Now it's just like social media. You're savage for everyone to see. But back then, people were savage to your face, which is to be respected. But enough of me dragging the story out. Let's
Okay, we're going to talk about the way an entire city turned a convicted killer into part of its folklore. So it's a real, specifically located piece of Johannesburg ghost lore. Well, part of it. The house on Club Street in Turffontein, the same suburb where Daisy lived with William Cowell and where William died. It is still standing today, and according to multiple local accounts, people still live in it, which is kind of freaky.
Yeah, you wouldn't think, why wouldn't they make it into like a little museum, a little place you can tour, like, oh, she lived here.
The story goes that Daisy can sometimes be seen at an upstairs window, peering out, and that passers-by have reported the curtain moving and what looks like a hand appearing at around 6 in the evening.
That is oddly specific.
Yeah, it's like, yeah, just at 6 o'clock in the evening.
It is everyone at 6 o'clock. Everyone just gathers in front of that house and they're like.
But also, I feel like it would be terrifying to see Daisy de Melker. I'm just picturing that, like, that mug shot of hers with her hair and everything. I'm just seeing that in the window and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's terrifying.
Imagine that is your room and you're like, oh gosh, it's 6 o'clock. And it's like, okay, Daisy, just get on with it.
Yeah, can you just show yourself and please?
Okay, do the hand thing. Okay, thanks, fine, but I have to study for a test.
So one popular version of the story frames it almost like she's still waiting for one of her husbands to come home so she can start the whole thing again.
Ooh.
Yeah. One thing to be upfront about before we go further into any of this, everything in this half of the episode is folklore. None of it is the kind of verified source fact we spent part 1 on. So these are stories people tell, passed down through newspaper columns, ghost tour scripts, and decades of Johannesburg gossip. So I'm not asking you to believe any of it. I just think it's a fascinating thing that happened to her legacy, and it's worth understanding as its own kind of history. The history of how a real person turned into folklore.
Which is the most interesting part.
Yeah. It's weird how it also was like, why her, you know?
Yeah, why specifically the murderous woman?
Yeah, the Black Widow. So before any of the marriages, before any of this happened, Daisy trained and worked as a nurse. And according to local legend, one of the places she's said to still haunt is tied directly to that part of her life, the old Transvaal Memorial Hospital for Children in Braamfontein, specifically Ward 7, where she's said to have worked. The building itself has a real documented history worth knowing. It opened on the 29th of October 1923, funded by Johannesburg's National Council of Women as a memorial to Transvaal men killed in the First World War, and it was the first hospital in South Africa built specifically for children. For over 50 years, it also served as a pediatric teaching hospital for the University of the Witwatersrand, or just Wits as we know it, before it finally stopped operating as a hospital in 1978. Today, the building still stands in Braamfontein, close to Constitution Hill, repurposed as a community hub called the Children's Memorial Institute.
But we don't really go there because that's also kind of a dangerous area.
Yeah, but it's still interesting to know about.
Look,
don't go to Braamfontein though.
Don't go to Braamfontein unless you're a bunch of people together, because I know it's also kind of like the fashion district in Joburg.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, no, it has a really like a bunch of cool fabric shops and a lot of people that can work with fabric and do pleating, and there's a lot of resource shops. But I mean, it's cute. The places that they have redecorated, very cute and very Instagram post worthy. But as we've said, we are storytellers, not statistics. So please don't go anywhere dangerous.
And for those of you who don't know, Liz actually studied fashion design.
Yes.
So she would know all this stuff. And I'm just like, interesting.
Interesting. Why did I study fashion? Because I love fashion. And am I still currently doing fashion? As a hobby, yes.
She makes epic stuff.
Dang.
Genuinely. You need to like start doing that.
Yeah, no.
But that's
it's part of the plan. But right now, we're talking about a ghost.
Okay. So here's a small detail worth flagging. Since we care about accuracy on this podcast, even when we're talking about ghost stories, the hospital didn't open until October 1923, 9 months after William Cull died. So if Daisy really did work there as a nurse, it would have had to be somewhere later in the 1920s, not during her original nursing training in Natal in the early 1900s, which is often how the story gets told.
Yeah, that's kind of a huge oversight.
Yeah. None of the sources I found, why do I say sources like that? I was like, sources.
I don't know, because you feel fancy.
So none of them actually specify exactly when she's supposed to have worked there, which is a pretty normal gap for a piece of folklore, but it's worth naming rather than just, smoothing over and ignoring. The building doesn't operate as a hospital anymore, and depending which story you hear, her ghost is described as walking the old wards at night, or simply lingering there the way a lot of these ghost stories describe lingering. No dramatic activity, just a presence.
That's worse to me.
Yeah, imagine.
I would rather have a ghost walking around instead of one just like standing there longingly looking out of a window. Just don't linger. Ignore the cranberry.
I feel like there's a very fine line between, because I would not want a ghost that does stuff either. I'd rather her linger than try and mess around with things.
I'd rather have a ghost
in hotels that jiggle the doorknobs and
make your beds.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind a ghost making my bed. That's
yeah. I wouldn't. You know what? I wouldn't mind the ghost like a cat knocking things off a table. I wouldn't mind that, but don't linger.
Don't do it.
Yeah. Did you have to let it linger? Do you have to? No, you don't.
Just go.
Just go.
So in Johannesburg Ghost Tour routes, it's one of the stops that show up again and again, which tells you about how embedded the specific version of the story has become.
Yeah, I literally yesterday, I told you, oh my goodness, you would not guess the Ghost Productions South Africa or Johannesburg or whatever. I'm like, guess where they're going to have one of their ghost tour stops this weekend, which is today. And I was like, they're going to focus on Daisy to Melker.
Yeah.
What are the odds of that? But then, so the hospital, is it still like a fully functional hospital?
No, so it's not a hospital anymore. It's repurposed as a community hub called Children's Memorial Institute.
The children must be scared to bits. Are you kidding me? Okay, thank you.
I don't know if it's... Yeah, it's just a community hub.
The poor kids. And that's just... is it... Okay, a community hub sounds like a community center.
Yeah.
So can we visit?
I don't know.
I want to visit.
Google.
We're Googling. Can we...
But also it's Turffontein, as we said, so...
Oh, yeah, right. We just preached about not going.
We did. Have you been listening to anything I've been saying?
I
told you all of this. Really,
I listened to it, but then it's not registering.
Are you tired?
I'm just sick.
Oh my word. It's fine. I'll just tell the story to the people who care. Tell listeners.
To the ones who actually listen.
The ones who matter.
Yeah, because I get stuck on one point and then it shut out the rest of you talking while I'm just focused on, okay, but you have to ask this question. Don't forget this question.
It's actually quite pretty. I mean, the building is very pretty. I'll say that. It's clearly an old building, but it can also be, I can imagine it looks nice. It looks like,
honestly, the jacaranda tree in front of it is doing way more than it should.
Yeah.
It's pulling its weight.
I feel like
that's lovely.
It could be quite haunted though. I wouldn't want to be here in the evening.
I would love to be there in the evening.
I would not want to be there.
Specifically.
Okay, we're very different people.
That's why this works so well.
Okay, so there's something almost fitting about this particular haunting, whether or not you believe it or not. So she's not haunting a crime scene there. She's haunting the place where she was, by every count, just working as a nurse, years before any of this happened.
Which is weird because why would she go back to that state of being after her death?
And I don't know, people are like, yeah, but she didn't even really work there. Or there's no account of her working there, so it's weird.
Yeah, so why go there specifically? Maybe she wanted to work there and she's like,
Maybe.
you know, one day when I'm dead, I'm just going to haunt those halls. And she manifested it and actually came true.
Yeah, but also, you know, ghosts are supposedly you go to places with a lot of energy and stuff. And I'm sure specifically, you know, like children's hospitals and stuff have a lot of
heightened energy and sensitivity. Okay, that might be true.
That's just me like thinking, but I don't know.
We're not experts in any of this.
No. So the other major site tied to her story is Constitution Hill, which today is a heritage museum and the seat of South Africa's Constitutional Court, but which used to be the Old Fort prison complex. The Old Fort itself was built between 1893 and 1899, originally by President Paul Kruger's government as a defensive position against the British in the run-up to the Anglo-Boer War, and only later did it settle into its long life as an actual prison. A separate women's section, the Women's Jail, was added in 1910, a red brick Victorian building that held black and white women in strictly separate sections, right up until the prison finally closed in 1983.
You forget that all of this stuff happened so early.
And also, it feels like 1983 wasn't long ago. See, they're saying
so long ago. Like, are you kidding
it's
me?
not long ago. 1983 is not long ago.
Girl, isn't it like almost 40 years now?
Okay, I get that it's kind of long ago, but when you think about the fact that people were still being held separately because of their race only 30 years ago, that is really recent.
That is
what do you mean?
Newborn level of recent.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely.
That's where Daisy was held before her execution. And according to multiple ghost tour operators and local writers, her spirit is said to linger both in her old cell there and around the site of the old Johannesburg Supreme Court nearby, where her actual trial happened. Here's the part that puts her legend in real perspective, though. The same women's jail that holds Daisy's ghost story also held some of the most significant political prisoners in South African history, such as Winnie Mandela was detained there after the 1976 Soweto uprising. Albertina Sisulu and Fatima Meer were held there too. And just across the site, in the section known as Number 4, prisoners included Nelson Mandela, Mahatma Gandhi, and Robert Sobukwe. In 2024, the whole precinct was recognized as a UNESCO World Heritage Site under the Nelson Mandela Legacy Sites listing.
It's so weird to think that Nelson Mandela and Gandhi was held in the same prison.
So weird. I don't know, South Africa's such a weird place.
It's so strange. You know, people are like, yeah, we have all of these hidden gems that you need to visit. It's absolutely beautiful. And they were like, yeah, we also have a lot of these hidden gems in prison.
Also, can I give you a spoiler on a movie I watched last night?
Okay, girl, it depends.
Okay.
If a lot of the people, which movie is it first?
The Sheep Detectives.
Okay, for anyone who has not seen The Sheep Detectives.
Okay, and I'm just offended by the fact that they said that a South African is a murderer.
How dare they?
I know. I'm just like, what do you mean South Africa? Why did it have to be here?
Why did it have to be the South African?
Exactly.
Why couldn't it have been one of the sheep?
One of the sheep. Because the sheep are cute.
Okay, but have you stared down the Battle of the Sheep?
Why the hell would I have done that?
I want to say, like, have you stared down a sheep? And I was like, yes, the Battle of a Sheep. Like the barrel of a gun. Their eyes, there's nothing behind those eyes.
Okay.
Except hatred.
I wouldn't say hatred, but they're just dumb. Yeah. I would say there's nothing behind their eyes in this fact that they're just stupid. They're cute.
They're very dumb. They're very cute. But also, it's just one of those things. In nature, a lot of animals have very cute eyes. And I love little goats and little lambs. But then you look at the eyes and you're like, why are your pupils square? That's not.
Yeah, that
freaks me out.
I get that, but
that part freaks me out. Anyway, huge tangent. Let's continue.
Tangent. Anyway.
What did I say?
I don't know. It sounded like you say tangent.
Tangent, tandem bicycle. Let's continue.
It's crazy because Daisy's ghost story shares a building with some of the most consequential human rights history on the continent. It's a strange bit of company for her legend to keep, and it's worth sitting with that contrast for a second before we move on because it is wild.
It is ridiculous, yeah.
Okay, so this next part is honestly one of my favorite things I found researching this episode because it's such a different way of handling her story compared to everything else we've covered so far. Constitution Hill's own official website describes a permanent exhibition inside the women's jail that specifically covers Daisy DeMarco's incarceration there, alongside the stories of Barbara Hogan, Esther Basel, and Violet and Shayla Weinberg, all of them real anti-apartheid political prisoners.
That's so weird.
I'm like, why is she she's like a whole prisoner?
Yeah.
And then it feels weird because they were both kept in the same place, but some of them were doing good and some of them were
like
murderers.
So like they were fighting the fight for South Africa.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, and here's Daisy. She murdered people.
Yeah. And you're in the same place.
And you're in the same place.
It's like a weird juxtaposition.
It's very strange, but I also really want to visit.
Yeah.
I think it's something we need to do.
Yeah. A separate account from the Johannesburg Development Agency describes what sounds like a related but more specific installation done in silk, sound, and photographs that tells the story of 3 very different women who each spent time in the women's jail decades apart in 1932, 1956, and 1976. The source names the 2 other women as Noma Temba Funani and someone recorded as Jeannie Noel or Noel. Though the spelling of both names actually varies across the sources I could find, so take those exact spellings with a pinch of salt. Not that you really see.
Yeah, not that anyone's perceived the spellings.
I'm pronouncing them okay. So.
Yeah, we saw the spelling.
We did. What I find so striking about the contrast. On a ghost tour, Daisy is a fun little shiver, a stop on the route, a story you tell because it's spooky.
I would not classify her as fun.
I mean, not her, but like the ghosty folklore side of things. It's like
yeah, all of these people who fought for the right for South Africans. Also, fun little tidbit, this lazy poison people.
Yeah. In an actual human rights museum, she's placed deliberately next to women who were tortured and imprisoned for fighting apartheid. Not as their equal, obviously, but as a way of showing visitors the full, uncomfortable range of who was held in this one building.
Yeah, at first when you said that, it kind of felt like, ugh, okay, that's not great.
Yeah.
Because she's kind of stealing the spotlight. But at the same time, now that you put it, it's like, oh, these were actual people fighting for human rights.
Yeah.
And on the other spectrum, we had this woman who
taking human life.
Taking lives. Wow, that's interesting. And you know what? That sounds like a really cool place to visit.
Yeah. A murderer and the woman who, fought the struggle of apartheid.
Yeah.
These women behind the same red brick walls, they were all remembered for completely different reasons.
Wow.
It's just crazy. And it just blows my mind, actually.
It kind of does. It's you don't realize the full historical impact of the people who were held there and their stories that are told and then how they placed next to each other in history chronologically, but one is really, really evil and the rest are really good.
Yeah. I'd also really love to do an episode that goes into the political figures who fought apartheid.
Oh, absolutely.
Like especially the women and stuff. We don't hear much about them. And I'm sure they go through hell trying to fight for human rights and stuff.
Not just human rights, but women's rights.
Yeah, exactly. So it'll be very interesting to hear that history in South Africa.
Absolutely. Look forward to that.
Yeah. So here's a part of this story I find the most interesting. More than any individual haunted location, Daisy didn't just become a ghost. She became a figure of speech. For years after her execution, if a door slammed shut on its own in the wind, somewhere in Johannesburg, people would half joke that it was the ghost of Daisy DeMarco. And if someone's hair was messy or wild-looking, a common little dig was to say they looked like Daisy DeMarco. I don't know if you've ever heard that, but
I have never heard that in my life, but that is so
I heard that.
rude.
Really? Yeah, I heard that. So my family has, so part of my family's got like very curly hair. So that like my grand, I remember her saying to like my aunt or someone that her hair looked like Daisy Noel.
Oh my goodness. You know what? Let's bring that back, shall we? You look like a convicted murderer. I was going to be like, Jess, whenever your hair's a little like disheveled, I'm going to be like, Jess, you're pulling a daisy. Fix the bees.
It's a strange kind of immortality. Nobody telling that joke about a friend's bad hair day was necessarily thinking about strychnine or a thermos flask. They were just reaching for a name everyone in the room would instantly recognize. The way you might reach for any other bit of shared cultural, experiences, stories.
She was a meme.
She was a meme.
And Daisy became a meme. Oh my goodness.
That is so, yeah. You said,
you know what? Valid. You were a horrible person in life. You deserve to be a meme. And a bad one at that.
me. Oh gosh. Oh no. So I think about what that actually means. Within a generation, her name had stopped being just a murderer's name and started being shorthand for something else entirely. This vague, spooky, slightly comic idea of an unhinged older woman. That's an unusual afterlife for a convicted killer to have. Most murderers get remembered. Very few of them get turned into household expression, repeated by people who might not even remember exactly who she was or what she actually did. That's literally a meme.
That's literally a meme. If any of you ever heard the term like for like bad hair or disheveled hair, like you are turning into Daisy Melker or you are Daisy Melker, please let us know. Because as funny as that is, that's also like kind of so incredibly insulting.
Yeah, it really is.
It's so insulting. If someone told me you're looking like Daisy Melker, I would be like, what? And then I would think, do you have a death wish? Because that is insulting, and I'm coming for you. You will be Daisy Melker. And it's like, oh, but you are becoming Daisy Melker. It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Liz, we're not stats in this podcast. Like storytellers, non-statistics. Stop saying you need to kill people. Like,
for legal reasons, that was a joke. Wow.
So I did promise at the start of this episode that I wasn't going to pretend any of this is proven. And there's actually a well-known South African voice who made exactly that argument publicly. Arthur Goldstuck is a South African journalist and author who has spent decades researching South African urban legends specifically. He's written multiple books on the subject. One of them, The Ghosts That Closed Down the Town, actually includes a chapter titled The Many Haunts of Daisy de Melker, which tells you she's significant enough within South African folklore to earn her own dedicated section rather than just a passing mention. Goldstuck's whole position as a self-described urban legend researcher rather than a ghost hunter is that most South African ghost stories, hers included, are exactly that, urban legends. Stories that spread by word of mouth and repetition until they're treated as established fact, without ever actually being backed by solid evidence. Even the real estate company that put together one popular roundup of South Africa's haunted houses, including Daisy's, added their own disclaimer that the stories are based on hearsay rather than hard facts.
I did not know that a real estate agency was like, let's just put together a list of the most haunted
I want that
houses. I know, absolutely. But that's a very interesting tidbit. But it's so strange, yeah, that she is a well-known figure in South African history and in urban folklore. And it reminds me almost of Auntie Swimish, which is also a tale that was told. And I remember reading about it. But that might actually be an episode because it is based on something much, much darker. I'm not going to delve any further into it because I might get my facts completely wrong. But I am, I think, going to do an episode on that, or maybe a compiled episode of things, folklore in South Africa that's actually hidden, like real, based on tragic events.
That's so cool.
But
well, yeah, so very interesting.
Very interesting.
Also, I just Googled real estate South Africa haunted houses, and literally private property. Minus a page about SA's haunted properties. There's a few. Seif Property Group. Oh yeah, yeah. They have From Garden Gnomes to Haunted Homes, the unreal side of real estate. Like there's actually
so weird. That's things you would expect in the USA or in the UK. You don't expect it to be in South Africa.
Yeah, like I never grew up hearing about haunted stuff in South Africa. So hearing about it now, it's like we actually have quite a lot. So I'm like,
and we're digging into it and we are going to uncover it and we're going to let you know. But also, please don't go harass the people who live at those places.
Yeah.
It is private property for a reason. Don't trespass.
I don't think our listeners would do that, Liz.
Yeah, we have more faith in them.
Yeah. I think that's actually the more interesting version of the story anyway. Not whether Daisy's ghost is real, but why an entire city needed her to become one. A trained nurse who quietly killed 3 people close to her and got away with it for nearly a decade is deeply unsettling on its own. Turning her into a ghost story, something you can tell at a dinner party and laugh nervously about, which you've been doing this whole time.
Yeah.
Might just be an easier way for a city to hold onto something that horrifying without it staying quite so heavy. So Daisy's ghost story became significant enough in its own right that it eventually got its own book. There's a short anthology called The Ghost of Daisy de Melker and Other True Ghost Stories, written by a South African author named Mary Devi, that puts Daisy's haunting alongside some of the country's other most enduring ghost stories, places like Rudd House and Alling. I've never heard of this house.
Allinglade.
Allinglade.
Never heard of it.
Allinglade House. And the Flying Dutchman, legend off the Cape Coast. Cape Coast.
He is a Cape Ghost. That is
Off the Cape Coast, the one that we already covered. And if you haven't listened to that, you should. Because
if you haven't listened to that, go listen to episode 3. But go listen to episode 2 and episode 1. And while you're at it, there's a couple of other episodes.
Yeah, listen to everything, okay?
You know what? Go entertain yourself for a few hours and listen to all of our episodes.
What that tells you is that somewhere along the way, Daisy stopped being filed under true crime altogether. She got moved into a completely different section of the bookshop, sitting next to shipwreck ghosts and the colonial era hauntings, which is a strange place for a convicted poisoner to end up.
It is kind of strange because I think hearing about her the first time, it's such an odd name, Daisy de Melker.
It is. And
I thought it was an urban legend.
Uh-huh.
And then it's like, no.
No, she's actually a terrible, horrible person.
Yeah, no, that woman was real and she was striking left and right.
And she literally got the death penalty because of how evil she was.
Yeah.
These days, Daisy's story has become fully commercialized as part of Johannesburg's ghost tourism scene. One documented tour route, run out of the Sunnyside Park Hotel in Parktown, takes visitors specifically to Constitution Hill, stopping at both the Old Fort and the Old Transvaal Memorial Hospital for Children, with Daisy's story told at both locations as part of the same evening out. I want to do this.
I think it's the Ghost Production South Africa that I told you about.
Other tour operators route through the site as one stop among several, alongside completely unrelated Johannesburg hauntings. A poltergeist house on Roberts Avenue, a haunted castle in Kensington, and an old graveyard with a stone circle, which gives you a sense of just how normalized her story has become within the wider Johannesburg ghost tour circuit.
Now, I'm more curious now about the graveyard with a stone circle and a poltergeist house.
I'm just curious about Johannesburg's ghost tour circuit.
I want to uncover some stuff.
I didn't realize, Johannesburg had so much ghostiness. We've explored stuff in KZN, Midlands, Cape Town, Cape in general.
Yeah.
Like, there's so much stuff.
And then here in the heart of Johannesburg,
we've been talking about going on road trips, but there's stuff
right in our backyard.
We better do this. This is scary.
I love this so much, but also we need some security with us.
Yeah.
Let's not be dumb.
All of this is a very strange kind of legacy. She's simultaneously a significant figure in South African legal history, the first woman convicted and hanged for murder under that specific legal process, and also, at the same time, a stop on a guided tour where people pay money to feel a pleasant little shiver walking past a building at night.
That whole sentence.
How bizarre.
How bizarre.
How bizarre.
It's just like, a pleasant little shiver while you walk past a building at night.
Yeah.
That was such a nice little sentence, but the context of the sentence is not nice. I don't know why that caught me off guard so.
Why her specifically? I feel like we brought this up just now as well, but
yeah,
I don't know why. Here's something worth sitting with before we wrap up. Daisy wasn't the only...
Daisy,
yeah. She wasn't the only notorious criminal working the streets of Johannesburg in that same golden, chaotic era. Ted Botha...
I almost thought it was going to say Ted Bundy.
I also thought that Ted Botha's book about her actually places her story right alongside the Foster Gang, a group of armed robbers who left at least 10 people dead across a series of shootouts around the same period, and who became famous enough in their own right at the time. There were German conmen, local Bonnie and Clyde-style outlaws, and any number of other violent, headline-grabbing criminals working the city in the same decade, which we need.
That is
all of them.
Okay. So, Foster Gang. We're going to rock, paper, scissors. They start at 3 to see who covers it. Okay? We're going to go rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Okay.
Right? Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Okay, you go on. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. Okay, here's how it's Foster Gang. I lost horribly. Jess will cover the Foster Gang.
I'm very interested. And what about this Bonnie and Clyde style outlaw?
Oh, yeah.
German con men.
Okay, so that
What's another German
reason.
con men?
Like you said that, like it's so hot right now. Everybody wants to know
About the German comment. Yes. But none of them became a ghost story the way Daisy did. None of them turned into a household phrase for messy hair or a slamming door.
So rude.
I wonder what she would say about that. Out of all things to remember, she would be
so unimpressed.
I don't care though.
Yeah.
Can make fun of her as much as we want because she's
a
a trippy deal. So why her specifically? I don't think there's one clean answer, but a few things line up. She was a woman, and a woman poisoner specifically. In an era when that violated basically every assumption people held about who was capable of quiet, sustained violence.
That is the thing.
And she was a nurse, someone whose whole professional identity was built around care, which makes the betrayal feel more personal somehow than an armed robbery ever could. And she killed slowly, patiently over almost a decade inside her own home using the exact skills she'd been trained to use for healing. Gang shootouts are frightening in a loud external way. Daisy was frightening in a quiet internal way, a kind of fear that doesn't go away just because the person responsible is dead. Ghost stories in a lot of cultures tend to attach themselves to exactly that kind of unresolved dread rather than to spectacle.
That is such a crazy way to think about it.
Yeah.
Like, yes, it makes sense why Daisy is being singled out in all of these cases and placed along such amazing figures in history who fought for our country. And then it's just her. Because once again, she was so unassuming and she was not the specific profile you would choose for someone now known as a serial killer.
Yeah. Also, I want to say that people are a lot more scared and interested in things that they can't see and understand.
Yeah.
Versus something that's very clearly.
Yeah, if a man was a serial killer, it's like, okay, he had anger issues, blah, blah, blah. But then, okay, the woman, she finally snapped. And
yeah, but also,
chosen...
if it was like a shootout or something, people can see that, it's clear,
yeah.
It's there.
Like you said, it's loud.
Yeah, it's not quiet. People don't understand why she really did it.
Yeah.
You know?
There's not an air of mystery towards it.
Yeah. So if you remember part 1, we talked about how Dr. Mickey Pistorius reads Daisy through his Black Widow lens. A woman chasing safety and status through a string of marriages after a chaotic childhood. There's something almost darkly funny about the fact that the very same instinct moving towards stability, toward a stronger, safer, more established man, is what the ghost stories accidentally preserve too. In just about every version of The Haunting, she's not depicted attacking anyone or seeking revenge. She's depicted waiting, still looking for that next husband to walk through the door. Whether the people telling these stories over the decades ever consciously connected those dots is impossible to know. But the folklore ended up echoing the psychology almost by accident.
Oof. Like she was waiting for her next victim. That freaked me out just a little bit.
A little bit. Yeah. I keep coming back to that curtain on Club Street. That waiting. It's freaky.
The hands waiting for the next.
The hair. Whether or not you believe a single word of any ghost story, there's something quietly poignant about the specific shape this one takes. Not screaming, not chains, not any of the classic haunted house stuff. Just a woman at a window at 6 o'clock watching the street.
Waiting for her next victim.
If you take the story completely literally, she's still waiting for a husband to come home. And if you think about who she actually was, 3 real men who trusted her enough to marry her, or in Rhodes' case, simply to be born to her, maybe the story we've all settled on isn't really about ghosts at all. Maybe it's just Johannesburg in its own strange way, refusing to let her forget what she did. If you've listened to our folklore episode on the Tokolosh and Pinky and the rest of them, you'll know we've talked about how a country's fears end up living inside its stories, sometimes for generations, long after the original event that sparked them fades from memory. Daisy fits neatly into that same pattern, except she's not a mythical creature invented to explain the unexplainable. She was a real woman who really did the things we spent all of part 1 walking through. In a strange way, that makes her the most grounded ghost story we've ever covered on the show. There's no ambiguity about whether the underlying horror actually happened. Whether it's true or not, it's not a bad way to be remembered. I mean, still standing at the window, still waiting for someone who was never coming back.
Oh, Daisy, what did you do?
Daisy.
Oh, I can finally reach the low notes with this voiceover. I just realized I was like,
when she gets her nose removed and she pulls and hit those low notes.
oh my goodness, I've turned into the alto people claimed I've always been. Wow. It's so interesting. And that one part that you said, like, Johannesburg will not let you forget it.
Yeah.
It's like Johannesburg's way of reminding you,
Yes.
just ever so subtly, about Daisy de Melker and the woman she actually was.
And we're always just taking a constant dig at her because we're calling people with messy hair Daisy.
Yeah, that bun is sitting a little
Yeah,
skew.
I feel like I'm doing Daisy right now.
You're doing a day.
Yeah. And my hair is like falling out. Leave me alone.
It doesn't even sound that harsh. I'm doing a Daisy.
It's like oopsie daisy.
I haven't thought oopsie daisy. Yeah. It's like, which Daisy are you talking about?
Yeah, be specific, bro.
Be specific. From now on, when you say the word Daisy, I want you to be specific. But gosh, that was so interesting.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jess. Like,
You're welcome.
just taking like folklore and a route I didn't think it would actually take.
Yeah. So this was quite a light-hearted episode. We are going to cover very heavy episodes coming up. I've been doing some research on some unsolved murders.
We're doing some unsolved murders. We're doing some very heavy, famous cases that rocked this country and rocked it in the bad way, not in the good way. I mean,
so if you are here for the heavy true crimeness, then you'll be looking forward to the next few episodes.
absolutely. Actually, you'll just be looking forward to us in general.
Yeah, who wouldn't look forward to us? We're freaking awesome.
Like, toot toot. That was my own horn.
Leave me alone, okay? I'm trying to pump myself up.
No, you know what? We work hard at this and we do enjoy this. And yes, please, if you have any like recommendations, any stories you would like to tell us that we can tell the listeners one day,
Yes.
please send it to us at hstalk@gmail.com.
Yes, please do.
We read all your emails and we try to get through all of them.
Not that we have any.
Jess, I was trying to make it sound like we actually have people already communicating with us. We
We
do
have a few, but
we do have a few. But
so that means you should send them now while we can still read them all.
there we go.
Yeah.
Send them now while we can still be like, oh, you remember that specific episode from that specific person with that specific name? Hi there, OG fan. We remember you.
And we love you.
We love you.
But if you want to listen to us more, you can find us on YouTube. You can find us on Spotify, Amazon, Apple, anywhere really. And please recommend us to your friends and your family if these episodes, you found any of them interesting.
Yeah, if you like them, if you didn't like them.
You.
I mean, all publicity is good publicity, really. But we're not trying to make enemies this early in the game. So yeah, definitely like an episode, leave a review, and tell us your stories.
Fabulous day as well.
And yeah, follow us on socials.
Yeah, please do that.
Please do that. We're on TikTok. We're on Instagram. We're not on Facebook as yet. We're still deciding if we should be Facebook visible. I do not know. Is Facebook still for only old people? What is happening? Is
I
men
feel
still
like
relevant?
a lot of the people who do listen to us know about cases that happened a while ago,
That is
and they might be on Facebook. So
that is true, but it depends if Mark Zuckerberg is going to screw us all over, because there's a lot of stuff now happening with Meta in general.
okay, but Instagram's also Meta, so
I know. That is true. Okay.
we will.
We will update you as soon as we know ourselves what we're going to do regarding that. But
That's us for today.
thank you so much for listening. And you know what? Stay safe and stay skeptical.
And maybe don't leave the house with your hair too wild in Johannesburg. People used to say you look like Daisy de Melker for a lot less.
Oof. Imagine that.
Imagine being like, I'm leaving my house and someone's like, Daisy alert. No, don't do that. I feel like I'm about to do that. My hair is looking wild. Let's go grab a comb. Okay.
We will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.